Hello and welcome to my channel. Thank you for joining me today. To those of you that are regulars and to those of you that are joining for the first time. This will actually be my last video before Christmas, which is next week. So to everyone, I hope you have a very lovely, peaceful Christmas and all the best for the coming 2020. So I'm going to be using this book again that I used last week, which I was explaining I'd used for the first time when we did this cone. If you didn't see that, I will link that up here. It was just a very simple Christmas tree picture of the cone on the branches of the Christmas tree in ink and watercolour. And this one is, let me think, so as we discussed, we had a little discussion about this in the discussion below that video if you want to have a look, because it says here 169 pounds and 250 grams. Those two don't actually relate, but it is a heavy paper. I would say it's a nice thick paper and I certainly really like it. So it's a mixed media one. And as I say, I've only used it so far with the ink and the watercolour. So today I decided to use it with these Koh I Noor. So they are technically sort of a watercolour, but to me they act much more like a dye. They very much stain the paper. They're quite like an inky dye once you put some water onto these. But the great thing about them is they're really inexpensive. So I know that some of you may already have these because they're so inexpensive. A lot of people tend to use them. But also they're such brilliant bright colours. So you can soon get a lot of colour into your picture or illustration using these. So I quite like them for that. And in the past I've used them quite a lot for illustrations doing wet on dry. So for those of you that are beginners, when I'm talking about wet on dry, what I really mean is we're putting wet paint onto a dry surface. So that may be dry paper or it may be a layer of dry paint that's already there, painting on top of that paint. But when we use the term wet on dry, which you'll hear people refer to quite a lot, that's all we're saying is that you're putting wet paint onto a dry surface. So I wanted to use these wet in wet. So it's pretty self-explanatory. Either that's onto a wet piece of paper that you've wet with water or it's into wet paint. And they react really differently to watercolours. Like I say, they're quite inky and they flow out beautifully into the other colours and they sort of push the other colours away. So you can come back on top of some of the darker colours with these bright yellows and things, and they'll move the paint out of the way, and then you get some nice effects really. So you've got to be careful about how much water you're using, how much paint you're using, and it's a bit of trial and error. But just have a bit of a play with these wet in wet. So the demonstration that I'm doing today, I didn't think about it at all really. I just got a pot of water and these and a nice big brush. I think it was a size 6, a round one, and I just set off and had a bit of fun with them. And I didn't plan it, I didn't draw it. It was completely out of my head, just drawing a Christmas tree. And I used a lot of these colours. I don't think I used any from this set, maybe just the brown for the trunk of the tree. It's a good idea if you do buy this set to make a little colour chart, because it's not obvious looking at them which colours are which. So really I quite liked how it worked out, and at the end I decided I would also drop some salt in, and then I left it overnight to dry and then brush the salt away, and that just gives you a little bit more of a twinkle. The salt sucks up all the moisture and then that draws the paint away, so you end up with some little light patches. So for those of you that are beginners, if you've got this set, just have a bit of a play on some watercolour paper or some mixed media paper at using them wet in wet, and I think you'll find you really enjoy the effects that you can get, whether accidental or not. And don't feel you have to do a masterpiece every time you get your paints out. Just have a play with them and have a bit of fun with using these colours and getting to know what colours you've got. So I hope you enjoy the rest of this demonstration of this little Christmas tree. It didn't take me long, it probably only took me about 5 minutes. But it was just a little bit of fun seeing how these work wet in wet rather than using them in a more precise way, wet in dry. So enjoy your Christmas, as I said before, with your families and friends. I'll be back with you on Boxing Day. Thank you very much for watching. Enjoy the rest of the video and bye for now.
Come on in, come on up, come on over for the merriest time of year. Come on up, come on in, get together for a good time, smile my dear. Come on in, come on up, come on over, we'll be dancing round the tree. So let us have a swinging Christmas, just like 1, 2, 3. to give the gift of cheer. So come on in, come on up, come on over. We'll be singing all these songs. So let us have a swinging Christmas, just like 1, 2, 3. Ba 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 da ba 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 da ba da ba ba da. Ba 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 da ba ba.